everybody. Shel Broadnax here with another episode of Stager Talk, and I am here with two fantastic women, and I am so excited to hear both of their topics at RESACON. And first, we have Sarah Karakaian, and she's going to speak about how to add short-term rental to your design services. So all you Airbnb people who want to get into that field, it'll be great. And then we also have Jill Kearney, who is going to talk about the senior market. Welcome both to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Jill, let's get started with you. Tell everybody, what's the name of your business, where are you from, and what are you all about? What's your niche?
So I'm Jill Kearney, I'm Senior Moves by Design. I started in staging and redesign about 12 years ago. 10 years ago, adding senior move management to the mix, and my business has exploded. We helped over 750 folks transition out of their current homes into a new home, and oftentimes staging the current home in the transition. So it's been exciting. Each day is different. Each family is different in what you deal with. And we're now starting to even add concierge services to the mix. So as stagers coming to RESACON, there's a whole lot of things that stagers could do to expand their business, especially for those who are in markets where staging is not that well known. I happen to be in one of those areas. Unfortunately, I'm not in California like you, Shel, where it seems like everybody stages. And so for us, it's been a real blessing to be able to add on other services that support the staging business.
Awesome. And what state are you residing in?
I'm sorry, I'm in Allentown, Pennsylvania, about an hour north of Philadelphia.
Very good, very good. And Sarah, tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so my name is Sarah, and my business is Nesters, LLC. I started my business in 2014, actually with my husband, and I started out as a professional organizer. So I did a lot of unpacks, move management in general. In New York City, where we started, it wasn't uncommon for people to be moving to the city and they would send their stuff before they got there. So I would unpack and create their home for them. So it's kind of like staging to live. And then in 2013, we started an Airbnb in our home. It was kind of still new to the world, and we jumped right in. And like I was telling Jill earlier, about 2 years ago, I just started to see more and more people wanting to get on the short-term rental train. It's becoming less and less weird and more normal to open up your carriage house or your garage or a bedroom in your home, or transition from long-term to short-term rentals to diversify your portfolio. And I've been hired left and right to create spaces that guests will love time and time again. So I thought I would share everything I know with those great people coming to the conference this summer.
I'm really excited to hear your talk. I mentioned earlier before we went live is that I got the Airbnb bug about 2.5 years ago. I went to speak at an event, where was I? Canada. And there was 5 other speakers, and we all knew each other from the industry. And I just put it out there as, man, these hotels are really expensive. You want to try an Airbnb and you can all just go in on it? And we did. We had the best time ever. And since then, I've actually held a business retreat at one. And the one thing that I learned a lot, and I'm sure you're going to touch on this, but it's like, if you really want a great Airbnb experience for your guests, you need to think like a guest.
Yep.
And so I know I mentioned earlier too, that I might be coming into a situation where I might be able to Airbnb something on my own. Yeah. And I know that I will have the white fluffy towels. I will have all the staples that you need, the little spices, have those things. The Airbnb we went to in Florida recently, it was awesome in a lot of aspects, but they did advertise it for corporate retreats. Well, if you're going to do that, why not have a printer on hand? Make things easy. Certainly the garbage bags, anybody that owns an Airbnb and is going to go into this business, you have to have a ridiculous amount of garbage bags, because think about it. People are coming in and they have to get food out. So if they're going to the grocery store to bring food in to cook, or they're having it catered in, 2 garbage bags is never enough.
No, think like a guest. You want to anticipate their needs. And that's what a lot of people getting into this industry aren't thinking about right now. Unfortunately, a lot of my clients are thinking about the extra cash flow. And while that's true and that's wonderful, you're not going to have that cash flow for much longer if we're not taking care of your guests and getting you 5-star reviews up front. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to share with the attendees this summer, is that you've got, if I can help you become the experts and share this with those people who are opening Airbnbs. It's also something that's kind of controversial right now. Airbnbs, you know, it's like one of those things where you can have 1,000 things going great and one bad thing kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. So it's up to us to put the good name on the Airbnb so we can have, you know, retreats where all our friends get together, or families traveling now have an option with kitchens so they don't have to like eat out all the time when they travel. It's a really great way to live like a local, to stay how you want to stay and what's best for you and your group. You're not just subject to this one type of stay, which are hotels. But we do kind of need to start having this brand standard with short-term rentals. And that's what I really want to help get across this summer.
I don't know what just happened, but it looked like somebody popped in and then popped out again.
I think I disappeared for a minute there.
Love the technology. So Jill, talk to me about the senior market. I know for me, I really have an affection for senior people. Anybody older than me, I just want to suck their brain. I have the best time with older people. I have a very good friend of mine locally. Her name is Tilly. I don't get to see her quite often as much as I used to, but when she lived in my town, she was 76, 77 years old, and she was literally one of my best friends. And we would just go around town, eat lunch, hang out, go to her house, whatever, talk, because she had so many amazing stories and so much wisdom to give me. She always told me I reminded her of herself when she was younger, because she kind of came up through the ranks. She did all the volunteer work, worked at the bank, worked in the community. And I just love getting feedback from her. So what's it like for you working with seniors?
Well, we love working with seniors. And there's some folks who will say, well, I would work with seniors, except, you know, they're going to be difficult and, you know, they can't hear. And I don't know how are they going to understand what I'm saying, because they probably don't understand staging. And I'm sitting here going, these are the people that founded our country, that built the country the way it is now. They've created our communities. You know, they've done the volunteer work that's made our areas vibrant. They're not sitting here as destitute, decrepit people. And to your point, there are so many wonderful stories. And we find as clients, they are most gracious. They pay their bills on time. Yeah. They appreciate help. They do expect to be respected, as any client would. And we always say that we honor our clients just for who they are. We honor those things that are important to them, even if an auctioneer says it has no value or the kids call it junk. And if you start with that as a premise, you're going to find that you end up having a whole lot of best friends. And we've got folks that keep saying, after the process of working through their house with them and the downsizing process, and sometimes auctioning things afterwards and then packing them, we actually do a full pack. We supervise the movers. I always say the guys with the muscles in the truck. And then we do a full unpack in their new home, everything, including hanging the art, which a lot of senior move managers weren't doing. And I now speak at our national conference at the National Association of Senior Move Managers. I've done a class twice on hung up on hanging art, because what I've told them is that if you only put furniture in a space, you have this whole top half of the walls that's blank with no personality. And I said, it's like moving someone into a very expensive, cheap hotel. And so if you do artwork, then you shouldn't be in the business, or you should have a designer or a stager. And that's what I've been promoting. Get a stager who can help you stage their house. And if you don't hang art, let the stager come in at the end and hang the art so that the personality comes back. But we have so many grateful clients, and you're right. The stories they tell are wonderful. You become sometimes adopted daughters and granddaughters in the process, because for a lot of people, their family doesn't live near anymore. You know, that's something that happens with a lot of us. The kids have up and grown and they've moved away. And sometimes folks, it's not they can't do the move. It's just why? Why would I go pack 100 boxes and try to are loving doing this? And granted, psychologists will tell us that of the 10 worst things that can happen to you in your lifetime, number 1 is death of a spouse. Number 2, for most people, is moving, which I found horrifying, because I actually love to move. I've moved 7 times in my life. But when you have folks who are afraid of moving or who have been in their homes for 30 or 40 or 50 years, loving their homes and have created such beautiful spaces, and now they have to give it up. And so you can go in and say, I'm just going to work with the stuff, and you can probably get them packed and unpacked. But I can guarantee you that that's the attitude that you're taking, you are missing the best part of this, which is developing the relationships and recreating a home. So you actually, for a lot of clients, get two projects. So the one, you take their home and you stage it for anyone, for any buyer. But then we always say, get your new home like home, but better. Not the things that really aren't that to you, see as something special. And so you get to recreate another home in the process. And we just find it really, really comforting. And it's just wonderful, the relationships. I didn't grow up with grandparents. And so for me, when this came about, I kept thinking, I didn't grow up with older people, and I wasn't really sure how this was going to work. But I ran the nursery and the preschool and everything for years because there was always an opening, and they kept saying, can you please do it? And it was the older folks of our church that actually looked at that and said, we love how you love our children. And in a lot of ways, loving our children and loving our elders is very similar experience. There's a lot of blessings we have from both.
Absolutely. And I would imagine they'd be very, very grateful, as you were saying. My grandmother right now is, the family would like to move her into an assisted living, and she's not having any part of it. And she's vocal. She goes telling everybody how she feels about it. But she also says things like, I can't do it. I can't pack everything. I can't do all this. I can't move. I'm too old. And what she's meaning, what I'm hearing her say is she feels overwhelmed with the process, where obviously I think
that's right.
She knows that family's going to come. She's not going to be the one packing anything. We can probably take her and go sit at somebody else's house for the day. Somebody else can come in and pack and to do those things. But it's the sense that I get from her is just, she's just absolutely, completely overwhelmed, and all the memories. I mean, she told me 2 days ago, she's like, I'm just going to die here. I just want to die here.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's what I'm finding is two things. We always say that there's 4 questions that are going through people's heads when they're contemplating a move like this. And the first one is, what can I even take? Because you've got a house that's this big, you're moving to an apartment that's this big, and you look around and what do I leave behind? Once you do floor plans and things for it, now you know what's going. By default, everything else needs a new home. And the words I used were a bit of it. It doesn't need to get, you don't need to get down home house, and that's what we talk about staging. And the 4th question is, how am I feeling? Because for a lot of them, I always ask the question, how many of you moved years ago? How did you move back? Friends, and how to pay them. This for it was pizza and beer.
Yeah, we're getting breaking up a little bit on your end too.
And beer, and I'll come help pack you and move you when they're available. And it's not that they don't want to go. Communities, I mean, just how from point A part the question. The very first, I was asked by a woman from our church, would I help do it? And I said yes. And she is moving in 3 weeks. She's pretty much sold off things. She's gotten herself pretty far, but she can't figure out her floor plans. And I said, well, I'd be happy to help. And I went over there. She's a tall, slender, elegant lady.
Jill?
And she was taking pretty fast. And I said to her, all these idea. Yes. Am I losing you?
Yeah. We're it sounds all like you're underwater. So we're gonna hold off on you for a second. We're gonna touch in with Sarah, and hopefully we can get the system to kind of catch up with each other. So Sarah, tell me, you mentioned something earlier about helping the stagers. So as part of what I know, before we came on the air, we talked about, my rental experience where I felt they should have had a printer and to really cater to the guests. So are you going to be able to teach the stagers what they can do to even add that in so they can become like an Airbnb expert so they can teach those people what to do?
Yes, it's like my goal in life to have other people who are already very detail oriented, which I feel stagers 100% are. You're thinking ahead every single time you get a new job. The same thing happens with short-term rentals. I want stagers to be able to, when people are going to start reaching out to you, like, I have this short-term rental. A lot of time it's investors who don't live in the city or in the state, and so they need somebody to create a space. So that's great. But now what I know you can make the space look beautiful, but now we need to have it look beautiful and also anticipate the needs of our guests. And it, like you were saying, it depends if it's a business accommodation. Maybe it's a 1-bedroom apartment in a space where you're going to have a lot of just business people coming, parents coming. They have different needs than a big home where there's going to be children in the home. So maybe we think ahead of board games, Nintendo, sheets for children to sleep in the bed that's different than what adults might need, right? Or cribs and just things like that where you're going to be this expert for these people who are investing in setting up a short-term rental, a lot of money. Why not do it right the first time? And not only that, but I also think I can share with conference members ways for you to tell them how to best market the photos. It's not just real estate photography, right? We want to get a little bit of lifestyle shots in there. So the coffee station, maybe there's a hand on the coffee mug, or there's maybe you have pictures of how to use the TV remote. And so you talk with the photographer about all those things, again, anticipating the guest's needs. And so I've got just an extensive but interesting list of things that I'm hoping to share with everyone, of things to think about ahead of time so that you can be prepared and just be that expert in your industry. Because short-term rentals are kind of still new, but like I said, every day I feel like someone's opening up an Airbnb and multiply that by 6 people. So that's a lot of short-term rentals opening up. There's a lot of opportunity out there for those of us who already have that design savvy. We just have to hotelify it now for them.
Yeah, for sure. The one that I was in Florida was near Disney World. Mm-hmm. So there was 2 bedrooms that were kids. They had a Tinkerbell on the wall. They had some Mickey Mouse sheets. They changed them out first because I told them adults were coming, but the decals were still on the wall. But It was great the way that they did it. And I love that aspect of it. It was very family oriented. Like I said, they did advertise also corporate, which worked super well, but like adding a printer in, something like that would have been really beneficial. And the other thing that I noticed, because I'm always looking at the Airbnb when I travel now, it's my preferred way to go, is that pictures mean 1,000 words, just like within staging, right? Mm-hmm. So one of those things that when I'm looking, I mentioned earlier too, I've been a buyer. I've been wanting to move for about 2 years. So for 2 years, literally, I've made it a sport at about looking for homes on the internet. And so I see all the great stuff, and then I see it's like, why would you list something looking like that? Same thing that happens with Airbnb, and it's like,
yes,
why would you not use professional photography?
I don't know. And I hope to share with everyone, it's not that expensive, and you can tell your client that's maybe in some markets, that's not even a weekend, that's like a night to invest in photography that's going to last your rental so long. Yeah. And not only that, but you mentioned photography, and I know that you expected the bedrooms to look different because you told them adults were coming, but there's a big problem where you see the pictures online, you fall in love with those images, and then guests arrive and that's not what they signed up for. It's not what they bought. And you're not fooling anyone. Those guests are going to leave reviews and say, this is not what I saw online. So our benefit, what we can do as stagers, is train the turnover professionals, the cleaners, or maybe these are going to be DIY'd by the investor, on how to restage every time. It's important the pillows look the same on the bed, on the couch, right? Like everything, the soaps are perfectly staged every single time. The towels are folded, and they are presented the same way every single time. It's just that little detail touch that I'm telling you, guests are going to notice and they're going to appreciate, and they're going to feel like they can just jump into bed. Everything's clean. Everything's been thought out. And those 5-star reviews are going to roll in day after day.
Yeah, it's definitely a visual experience when you walk in and you see the care that they took. And what I like is that, when this particular house was huge and it had like 6 bathrooms, there was hair dryers in every single bathroom. There was the amenities were everywhere. They did nice things with the folded towels, make it look like a swan. They have some nice touches with things like that. I've also had another one that I went to that actually had a book, a binder, and resources. So it was like, if you need this, call this. Here's what your neighborhood's like. Here's fun things to do. I would imagine, here's some coupons for an escape room. I'm into the escape room right now. If anybody doesn't know me, I'm so into it. Something extra, just fit your guests to make it a full-on experience, because you want that big review.
We're going to go over tips for setting up a great welcome book, both physical and on most of the Airbnb platform. That's the platform that I find to be most easily usable. And a lot of people are on Airbnb. It's more of a household name than the other platforms out there, but this will work for those. But that way you become the expert on those welcome books and how to write a good description on the platform. It's kind of like we're going to put on our real estate agent hats, and just what are those descriptors that we can use? Not too much fluff, but just enough where we get you into our listing and we have you take a second look that pairs well with the pictures, and also listing all the amenities that are needed for the space. So we're going to go over so much in this class. Like, I just have so much to share, and I just know that this is going to be a great value add for all the attendees.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk to both of you, or to see both your presentations once we get to RESACON. We're also having the millennial discussion as well, in addition to the senior. And now at the Airbnb, it was just so timely. I was thinking about it before, and I'm like, I don't know anybody that's doing this. Is this like an untapped market? I think this is brilliant. And then when I saw yours, I was like, yay, this is so good.
Yes.
So I'm super excited about it. Anything else that either one of you want to add to this about getting to RESACON? If anybody's on the fence, what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I will say if you've heard people talking about Airbnb a lot, what I'll also share are ways for you to kind of offer your services, what you can say, kind of how to sell your services, and why it's beneficial for you to be hired to do what you're doing. And also I can go over pricing models in case you're like, I'm not sure how to price that. I've done it a few different ways over the past 5 years. And so I can share that with you. So I'm not sending you off wondering, okay, now how can I market this extra service? It's no good to know how to do it without how to kind of go out there and have that conversation with people. So I hope to be able to arm you with that information as well.
Absolutely. Jill, how about you? Any last words? Jill's frozen.
Oh no.
Oh, no. She's so beautiful in her. She is. Jill is, when she can go back and watch this, she's got the absolute perfect headshot right now.
Yes. Yes.
So we're having a little bit of technical difficulties on that end. So I will end things with thank you both so much for joining me today on another episode of Stager Talk. If you are on the fence about going to RESACON, jump off that fence, head over to resaconvention.com. Check out all the amazing speakers that we have there. We have something for everybody. We organize our sessions in sessions of 3. So we typically have beginner level, newbie level, mid-level, and then more seasoned or a niche, as both of these subjects are. And again, there's something there for everybody. Not only are you going to learn from the sessions, but the camaraderie and the learning that you're going to have from the peers that you sit with at lunch, at breakfast, at the dinners. And of course, we have the big Home Staging Industry Awards banquet. So if you're sitting on that fence, jump off that fence, head to resaconvention.com. We still have early bird pricing right now. So check it out. You will not want to miss this year at all, especially since Dottie Herman is going to be our keynote speaker. So check us out. Until next time, happy staging, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.